Well, hello guys, and welcome to the final episode of Miyagi Mornings this year. So episode 25, pretty cool that we've knocked off 25 episodes so quickly after my 2020 workshop. And as we head into the holiday season here, I guess we were in the holiday season. I consider, like, when people get upset over the holidays, I'm like, just go find something else to be angry about, right? Christmas is part of the holidays, right? To me, it's Thanksgiving all the way through to the end of the year is like the holiday season. But Christmas to me is kind of the holiday that I just personally get the most joy from. And I have a very long history of kind of the week of Christmas somewhere in there. I shut down and I don't come back till after New Year's. Well, this year Christmas lands on a Friday. That makes for a long week next week for me if I were to work up till the 24th. I'm not going to. I don't even know right now what I am going to do next week as far as content, but I know it won't be Miyagi Mornings. There might be a video or two that comes out next week, like a walkthrough video out in the backyard or something, but it won't have a bunch of links in it, and it won't be part of a Saturday morning podcast or anything like that. I really don't know what I'm going to leave behind on the podcast or on YouTube for you guys during the shutdown, but it's probably not going to be a lot. I'm worn out, and I'm ready for a reboot. And I think that's a good thing for everybody to do during this time period. I won't be gone, but I won't be here at the same time, right? But I did want to talk about like some of the things to think about as you go into this period of time, and hopefully you do get the opportunity to take some time off and be with your family. And my first one is, I don't care what anybody says, from any level of government official down to any level of COVID Karen. If you can spend time with your family this year, do so. Like, separating us is one of the shittiest things that's ever been done to our society, and I'm going to tell you that there are many of us who have just refused to participate in that bullshit from the beginning, and we're not going to start anytime soon. I don't care what Dr. Fraudzy says. We're not going to have a massive surge in COVID because you commune with your family for freaking Christmas. He gave you that doom and gloom bullshit warning about Thanksgiving. Everybody ignored it, and there was no perceived or definitive massive rise in the already third wave of the virus doing what it's going to do. Virus going virus, folks. And you're talking about something that for 99.7 or 99.97% of people is mostly a flu. And for many people is far less than a flu, as they're strafing me for having the audacity to speak truth again out there with the Jets, I guess. Anyway, so there's just that. Be with your family. Number two, do something productive with this time if you get to take it off like I do. I realize that as I've poured so much work into my YouTube channel, my Odyssey channel, my podcast, and everything else like that, there's a lot of stuff that I always say I'm going to do in the winter that should have been done by now that didn't get done out there on the homestead. So some of that stuff's going to get done during this time. I'm going to be with my family. I'm going to be with my wife. Hopefully I'm going to see my kids and grandkids quite a bit. Oh, by the way, my kid and my daughter-in-law are recovering from COVID right now. They're driving around in their car at night looking at Christmas lights and not exposing themselves to other people when they're doing that. But they're doing just fine because that's what happens for most people. So when people are like, well, what are you going to do? Yeah, I'm going to go on with my life, man. Like, somebody you love. Yeah. My in-laws on the other side of that equation of the marriage, they both had COVID. And my daughter-in-law's mother ended up in the hospital for a week on oxygen. And she probably wouldn't have been there if it had been the flu with the exact same symptoms. Like, the hospitals, their rates are high right now because they're admitting people that don't really need to be admitted because they get guaranteed money for COVID patients. You don't have to believe that. It's just the case. I mean, really, above all, go on with your life, but also do something productive. I've got so many things I want to get done. I don't even actually have a huge organized plan, but my overriding plan is, well, each day do something or work on something. And once you start working on something, work on only that one thing until that one thing is done. So I have like a cover that needs to go on my greenhouse. That's need to happen for a while. I have the material. I need to do it. I have a shop that needs to be completely redesigned. That might go at the highest priority because once it's redesigned, doing all the other work gets easier, especially in the winter when working inside with heat is a nice thing. I've got some stuff that needs to be done in my aviary with planting some cover crops. I got it done in the big garden, but not in the aviary. Probably need to do that maybe today because that's not a big job. It won't take long, but I've got a bunch of stuff. I'm also going to curl up on the couch with seed catalogs and look at, what I'm going to be growing next year. We're just going to enjoy this downtime, but at the same time, we're going to be looking ahead. And 2021, guys, I think the people that are like, man, 2021 is just going to be a great year. Everything's going to be behind us. It's not. We're going to have to deal with all this shit for quite a bit longer. And it's up to you how much of it you participate in and how much you refuse to participate in. Including, I'm still on the strategic relocation. Some of you guys, I really think you need to evaluate where you're living. And if you can move, get out. Get your kids out of the government schools. This is a good time to strategize on how to do that. There are ways to do it. Reach out to grandparents. If you have grandparents in the mix that are willing to do it, we're doing it for our grandkids, and it's totally worth it. The change, I was actually thinking today's show would be lessons from homeschooling our grandkids. We'll probably do that next year when we come back. The first week we're back, we'll probably have that episode. But man, it's incredibly rewarding. And to be fair, my wife does the real work of it, but I get to witness it. And I've seen changes in my grandson that are unbelievable. I've got a 10-year-old thinking like an entrepreneur instead of a conformist. On that, man, look at this time and sit back. And if you don't have a business or a side hustle, really put that question in that mental computer you call a brain. Because it is a mental computer. How do I start a business? How do I create a side hustle? How can I create value? Remember, every time you ask that brain of yours a question, you kick in the most powerful self-learning algorithm known in the universe, as far as we know. There's probably better ones, but as far as we know, it is the best there is. So use it. Use your God-given brains, in the words of my late father-in-law. Use your God-given brain. You have this incredible tool. And if you challenge it, it will give you answers. If you fill your brain with all types of negative viewpoints of the world, it will reinforce that for you. It will calculate how you can be miserable. It will calculate how you can not have a business. It will calculate how you have to stay in a job you hate for the rest of your life. It'll calculate why you can't move. If you give it those challenges, that's what it's going to do. It's going to give you the answers to the questions you ask. And many of you, the reason you can't get out of where you are and you're so freaking miserable is because you're asking the wrong questions or you're giving the wrong command lines to your brain. You're challenging your brain to keep you miserable. You're challenging your brain to give you excuses. You're challenging your brain to do everything except give you the answers you really need. And your brain's good at its job. So it's giving you shitty answers because you're giving it shitty code. It doesn't have to be that way. Take this time. Reboot. If you got some vacation days stayed up there and you weren't going to take them, but you can still do it, do it. Shut down. Disconnect from this shitty world, and you'll realize that most of what you believe you have to do, you don't. Let the end of this year, in some ways, be kind of like a being born again or a baptism or something like that. Whether you believe in faith or religion or spirituality or not, doesn't matter. We can all have that experience of basically having some level of mental rebirth in what's possible and what can be. Because 2021, in spite of what I said, we're going to be dealing with this shit. It can be a great year. But you don't get a great year in 2021 because the virus goes away. You don't get a great year in even if it did. Even if it did, how many people that are like, man, I can't wait till this is over. My life sucks now. How many of those people, their life sucked before any of it happened? How many of those people were genuinely happy before this happened and now they're genuinely miserable? I found most people that were genuinely happy in 2019 remain genuinely happy in 2020 because whatever happened to them, no matter how shitty it was, they adapted and they overcame it. And so can you. And this is the thing I'm going to leave you with at the end of 2020. And you won't see me on this segment again until 2021. Only you can do it. Only you can change the calculus. Only you can put the new commands in your brain. Only you can choose to not let others write commands into your mental computer. Only you can make 2021 a great year. And you can if you want to. With that, I'll be back with another episode of Miyagi Mornings next year. It's not that far away.